Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. With your hosts, Jacob, Nick, and Ed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the JC Treader episode 64 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm your host, Jacob at Roachism13, joined over here on this side by my co-host, Mr. Nick Carnes at Carnesies817, and down underneath, Mr. Ed in Columbus. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
I'll tell you what, Jacob, I'm feeling pretty excited tonight. I was looking at the dates on the calendar, and in just a couple short weeks here, like a couple week and a half, 2 weeks and a half, we will be at Browns camp.
2 weeks and a half. That's right. 17 days.
All of us. So what a day that's going to be. We're so close to football. I'm excited.
That's going to be a day in which, after I stump Ed on Stump Ed trivia tonight, that he shotguns a beer.
Whoa. Okay.
I want
in public.
Everybody to know I woke up feeling dangerous from a nap. It's me 10 o'clock, Dog Chug, Andy, Roger, and Ross. Later, I got a traditional double header.
Double header.
That goes. So don't stump me too much, Jacob, because then my feelings will get hurt, and then I don't know how I can. So be kind, please.
Guys, we are so excited to tell you about our new sponsor over at Network 216, and that's Underdog Sports, Underdog Fantasy. Guys, I love fantasy sports. I love being cocky about fantasy sports. I don't love losing, which is actually what I do more often than not. But fantasy sports are great, man. And Network 216 is sponsored by Underdog Sports, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about them, and I wanted to give you a heads up. At the end of this program, we are going to announce the first of the Barking Brown Show, our first Underdog Sports league of this podcast. It's coming up, how you can join, how you can go head to head with the three of us coming at the end. But I want to tell you first off the top that the best place to play fantasy football this summer is Underdog Fantasy. Their Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money. $10 million. And the best part is you just draft your fantasy football team. That's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog gives you your best scores each week of the season, and the highest score at the end of the year wins. So the Best Ball Mania 3, it's a full year league. There are weekly and daily as well, and we will have all kinds of year-long weekly and daily leagues going on with the network. The champion of the Best Ball Mania, I'm sorry?
Just briefly, you won't have to be an idiot like me and panic trade away Jonathan Taylor, because with Underdog, you're not trading.
Yeah, not trading. That's stupid, Nick. The champion of Best Ball Mania last year drafted his team in June. So there's no time like the present to join Underdog and take a shot at the $1 million draft. Plus, Underdog is going to double your first deposit up to $100 when you sign up with the promo code 216. That's 4 free entries into the Best Ball Mania 3. So what are you waiting for? Head to UnderdogFantasy.com or the App Store. Sign up for the Underdog with the promo code 216 and draft your Best Ball Mania 3 team today. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 216. They will double your deposit up to $100. That's put 25 in there, get 25 more. Put 30 in there, get 30 more. What the hell? Get in there, get some free money.
How much if you put 100 in, Jacob?
100. You get another 100. There, all of a sudden, you got $200.
Huge. Those are huge numbers.
You get to come. You get to come for our money later.
Fantasy glory.
Yeah. Andrew asked, should a double header be a national holiday?
Yes, it should be. And everybody, get your permission slips. I'll sign them. You have the day.
Maybe next week I can read that ad read better.
Jeff's in here slandering Christmas ale. Christmas in July is coming, Jeff. I'm upset. How could you do this? We'll have Christmas ale at the Guardians games, which I will be at in 2 days.
Jeff got his ass handed to him on Underdog. That's the thing that happened. Seriously, Underdog Fantasy. Wait till the end of the show. We got so many great things coming from you. So, guys, first up, we are going to bring on our special guest. You're going to join us for a little bit, kind of go over some of this Deshaun Watson, the legal side of the Deshaun Watson hearings, and to make sure that me, who needs things explained to him like he is 5, gets just that. He will come on here and he's going to explain it. I got a few questions from him from that side. Then we're going to ask him some Browns questions. And then at the end of the show, I've got Stump Ed trivia coming at you. A quick question for the guys, and then we're going to talk about the first fantasy league where you can go up against the 3 of us and win some of our money. So that is a thing that you can do. So I'm going to bring on who I believe is the actual official lawyer of Brown's Twitter. That's my belief. He's fully 100% lawyer. I made that decision right here, right now. I'm going to bring on Blake Weiner. Blake, how you doing, man? Listen, can you hear me? My sound is. I got you now. We got you now. I think initially the first time you start to talk, I think it doesn't like to recognize like the first word that you say for whatever reason.
Okay, I'll just start off with.
Yeah, exactly. That works. I like that. That's exactly. That's why you're the smartest guy on Brown's Twitter. All right. I'm not even sure that's a compliment though. So like, because Brown's Twitter is, yeah. All right. So we get this stuff from Josina Anderson a couple of days ago, and I reached out to Blake because I know by now he's like, anytime something comes out and it has some kind of legal jargon, he knows he's going to get a DM from me, and I'm going to be like, dude, what does this mean? And he's been very nice to me every time. I will say that he's never turned me away. But I wanted him to come on and explain some of this stuff to us. So Josina tweets out that a league source told her that the threshold of proof expected to be applied by Judge Sue Robinson in the Deshaun Watson's case would be by the preponderance of evidence, and there is no dispute about that. There is precedent in the case law that establishes it. That's the direct quote. So can you that's where I'm hung up right away. They went preponderance of evidence. And I'm like, I don't even know what preponderance means. So can you explain to me and anybody else that's wondering what preponderance of evidence means and how that's different than a different, other types of evidence, so to speak?
Yeah. First, the word preponderance. I think that's what that word means. The evidence, and this will fit. It's the standard that's basically cases all across the United States. Standard means really simply 51. What a lot of people don't realize is civilly for assault or something for monetary damages. When you're presenting to a jury, like the Johnny Depp jury, doesn't have to go back there and you are certainly telling the truth, absolutely entitled to damages. Basically, is it a better chance? Is it 51%? And we think it's 55% chance that's successful, and that's why riskier than criminal cases are beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a much higher standard, and it to be anything other than I saw some people floating out was quote unquote credible evidence. That's standard before in my life. It's used in the law very often. Some internal procedures were heard of that, and it sounds like I'm breaking.
Okay. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties here with just your sounds cutting in and out a little bit, but I think I got the big gist, the understanding, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong in the way that I understand what you're saying. Preponderance of evidence is just more likely than not, right? The 51% as opposed to what would you say, like reasonable, beyond reasonable doubt? That's probably like in the 90s. Would you say like that's what, if you were trying to give it like a percentage of what it would be?
It's really hesitant to give a percentage because it's brings up constitute that a percentage. Beyond a reason, 9%, 99.
Okay. So it's essentially I think you said this even is it's just easier. Preponderance of evidence makes it easier. So is this, and I don't know, I've seen this was a quote, I got it on here from Daniel Wallach. He was talking about this same topic the same day, a couple days ago on The Fan, and he said that he thought that the pendulum actually swung in Watson's favor with the clarity around the burden of proof, it being on preponderance of evidence, because he said earlier that it had been before that NFL case law supported the use of credible evidence, which I guess is even under preponderance of evidence. So are you kind of the same belief that with it being preponderance of evidence, that is more in Watson's favor, or is that more in the NFL's favor when it comes to what you think Judge Robinson could rule?
To credible evidence, it's definitely credible evidence is a much lower standard. It's preponderance. It's better for Watson. I have a standard in my life. That's not like something very specific to what the NFL.
Okay. I think I think we froze on him. I think he froze on us. No, I can't tell. Oh no, he didn't. You're still there. I think you were just holding very still, and I was like, I think he froze.
Not to mess things up because my audio.
Yeah, I understand, man. It's just one of those things. I hate that but I'm trying to piece together.
Yeah,
we're working through it. We're getting the answers, and I'm getting learned today.
Do you think that? Do you think if you it might help? Maybe video like this.
Yeah, say something now.
Does this sound any better at all?
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
You know what?
I'll just leave it
Jacob,
off.
do you remember when we did the one interview through the phone? Do you think?
Oh yeah, I can do that.
I know we're like doing this live.
Yeah, do you want to do that here, Blake? I will DM you my phone number if you just want to call me, and we'll go over some of this stuff real quick.
I'll do that right now.
Okay.
All right, so that'll work.
Yeah.
Then.
Sorry about that, guys. I just
technical difficulties, but we're gonna get there.
Here we'll
in the end result.
Do it over there. We did do that. We did do the one over the phone that one time, and it was pretty funny.
It worked pretty well. So we're just
all right, man. Can you got me here?
Yeah, can you hear me? How's this?
Yeah, that sounds great. Can you guys hear him over the?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the difference to you saying that it does kind of swing in Watson's favor. You said something about the credible evidence below the step below that. Could you go back over that part?
Yeah. So I have never heard of the credible evidence standard in my life in any legal proceeding. To me, that's not. That doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist in some situations. Maybe state courts do it in some, misdemeanor cases. They'll have it some different situation when constitutional issues aren't at play. But when it comes to, I don't know what the NFL has done in the past. It sounds like the credible evidence standard was what the NFL did in the past with their personal conduct policy issues, which is, from my understanding, a very low standard. I mean, like I said, I haven't experienced it before. It sounds like credible evidence literally just means somewhere around reasonable suspicion, probable cause, which kind of just means, have you given me anything that I can rely on that demonstrates what you're saying, which could include something as simple as witness testimony. And so if you're comparing credible evidence to preponderance of the evidence, it's definitely helpful for Deshaun Watson, but I never expected it to be anything other than preponderance of the evidence.
Okay, see, and that was what my follow-up question was going to be, was that the standard you had already assumed was preponderance of evidence, that was where they were, or if you thought that maybe it was somewhere, outside of that. I'm sorry, I'm asking all the questions.
You know what? a dummy here, but listening to what the actual meaning of preponderance of evidence is, it sounds like that bodes in favor of Deshaun. I mean, I'm like I said,
yeah, that's what yeah.
I mean, it bodes in Deshaun's favor unless if someone was approaching this situation thinking Deshaun Watson was going to get a beyond a reasonable doubt standard or something like that, then finding out it's preponderance of the evidence is very, very bad news. But if you are just expecting that it's going to be treated like most civil issues are, then yeah, it does bode well for Deshaun. It also bodes well for Deshaun for a lot of people who think, listen, he wasn't indicted by two separate grand juries. The grand jury standard is basically probable cause. That's a much lower standard. And so preponderance of the evidence is even higher than that. So for those people, it is good news for Deshaun.
So, Ed, I'm sorry, Ed.
Jacob. So a question, because I remember I'm a little bit older than these gentlemen that you're talking to between Nick and Jacob. But I remember the O.J. Simpson reasonable doubt. That's why it took him 4 hours to, glove don't fit, must have quit. And O.J. got off. But when it came to this preponderance of the evidence for the prosecution, the level isn't as high. So, when preponderance, usually that would be a bad word for Deshaun, because when you're saying for the burden of proof that the prosecution, or in this case, the NFL would have to give to it wouldn't be as high to get per se a conviction. So, I mean, that still correct.
Yeah, you actually raise an interesting point that most people don't know about, which is that O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in the criminal proceeding because, like you said, the standard's beyond a reasonable doubt. You bring that to the civil proceeding, standard's much lower, preponderance of the evidence. Oh, there's plenty of evidence to show O.J. Simpson murdered his wife, and he was found liable. And I still think to this day owes something like $100 million that he hasn't paid.
That he hasn't paid?
Yeah, still. Because that is my understanding, they can't touch his NFL pension. It's protected.
Oh, and he doesn't have enough outside of it.
That's why he's golfing.
He's golfing and making all those weird Twitter videos that make me uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, what's OJ talking about? What's he talking about now? All right, I'll ask you one more question about the legal proceedings, and we'll just ask you some general fun questions.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, as soon as I said that, I forgot exactly what I was. Oh, so I can't remember where the report was. I thought it was Josina Anderson said this not long after it, because, first it was leaked that there was this woman whose son said that she changed her story about Watson. And then Busby releases his statement saying like, oh, that was not one of my clients. And then it comes out that, it was Amy Dash. Amy Dash said that what she gathered from all of that was that the NFL was not trying to prove sexual assault or a more aggressive sexual crime, that they were trying to prove indecent exposure as what he did, as the means for the suspension being whatever they were recommending. Do you believe, with it said at preponderance of evidence, that proving indecent exposure is probably pretty probable that they were able to do that?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. And I think that, a lot of people, including myself, have pointed out, listen, there's 20 plus cases here. The NFL is only using maybe 4 or 5. Why would that be? One of the most logical answers is the NFL took the 5 strongest cases because you don't want to cloud the issues. When you're presenting to a judge like Sue Robinson and you're just trying to make a very simple point of, was the personal conduct policy violated? You don't want to go through case by case by case, giving Deshaun Watson's legal team ability to cloud the issues and say, hey, Your Honor, what about this individual? She lied on this day. What about this individual? That makes it very confusing. And so the NFL probably took the strategy of, let's just take the 5 strongest, best cases, probably in their idea, individuals that are almost bulletproof. They have no, there's no evidence that demonstrates they're lying or anything like that. And let's just, what can we show at minimum with these cases? And they probably determined, okay, with these 4 or 5 strongest cases, at minimum, it's very clear that he exposed himself, which can include, remember, Deshaun Watson admitted, I think it was in a deposition, that one of the women left the massage session crying.
Mhm.
So if you present to Sue Robinson a woman's testimony saying he exposed himself and he put his penis on my arm without me consenting, and then you have a text message and an admission by Deshaun Watson saying, I'm sorry, I made you cry, that's preponderance of the evidence, because it's just a question of, is that more likely than not? Well, what's more likely than that? What probably happened there?
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's like, so many. Ellie, I tell you, you got a way of explaining stuff to me, man. I ain't gonna lie. That's so. I promise this is the last one,
Yeah, don't worry about it.
and then we'll do Browns.
Okay.
No, you bring him on, it's fine.
Where do you think Judge Robinson? If you could just in ballpark it, you don't have to give me an exact, but based on what because I know you don't know nearly as many of the facts that she does, and we probably never will. But just based on what you do know, do you have just like a general feel?
Yeah. So since the beginning, I've thought it's going to be a year. I did think it was a year before I had a better understanding of the new process, because this Sue Robinson situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time we're ever seeing this, right?
Yes, that's correct.
It used to just be Goodell making his decision, and then you can appeal, I guess, to it sort of flipped backwards now. And so once I learned about the Sue Robinson situation, I feel it wouldn't shock me as much as if it's significantly less than a year, but it would. I've said a year, 12 to 17, basically. I would be shocked if it's less than 10. Previously I was saying less than 12. Once I learned more about how this Sue Robinson situation is being handled, okay, I could see her giving 10. If it's 8 games, I mean, obviously it could be because we've never had her do this before, but that is going to sort of turn upside down all precedent, because you have individuals like Kareem Hunt getting 8 games for, in my opinion, something that if you watch on video is a lot less damaging to the NFL than what these Deshaun Watson allegations are. These allegations against Deshaun Watson is basically that he is on a serial level putting women in really uncomfortable situations that are borderline criminal. And I think that because of that, I just don't understand how they could give him a punishment that matches anything that's happened in the past, because we've never seen anything like this. It's sort of like if you have an unprecedented situation, I would expect an unprecedented punishment, which is why I would say at least 10 games.
Okay. All right. Guys, do you have any questions before I ask stupid questions?
I think that sums a lot up, and you know what? I really appreciate it, Blake, because I guess it's like you read these tweets, but there's no elaboration on it, right? So it's hard to connect all the dots, and so when you put it that way, I feel a little less optimistic than maybe I did, but that's realistic. So I'm glad that way to know more of what I needed to.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing about Twitter is it's designed so people can't communicate well, because that's what keeps people on the platform, right?
That's
because
true.
If we could communicate like this with everybody on Brown's Twitter, so many less people would be angry, and so people would spend less time on Twitter.
You're right. He's 100% factual. Okay. Tell me, Blake, on the Browns right now, who are you the most excited to watch this season?
I mean, it's such a lazy answer. The answer is Deshaun Watson. I mean, the thing that kills me as a Browns fan. I've been a Browns fan since I was a little kid, and the thing that kills me is this team, as constructed, assuming Deshaun Watson can play a significant portion of the season, is the greatest team in my lifetime, right? And so, I mean, can you imagine the fan base and how we would all be reacting in terms of just outrageous optimism if the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson in 2018?
Yeah.
Or, in 2019, like after Baker Mayfield shit the bed in 2019, we would be losing our mind, because we would be like, it's set up. And so even with all this, legal stuff going on, at the end of the day, he's gonna get on the field eventually, and when he does, I'm ecstatic. I would, as a Browns fan, I want to see how he performs.
You know what's funny? I said this the other day, in the way you kind of put it. It's like I thought to myself, maybe after it kind of fell apart this year, speaking with Baker, I thought, man, we're never going to be out of quarterback purgatory. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, you got a top 10 quarterback, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like every damn time.
It's almost like it's the most Browns thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, has there ever been a team acquire such an elite level of talent at such an important position to have this asterisk on it? It's such a Browns situation.
My favorite thing to say about it is that if the Browns had traded for Russell Wilson, we would be screaming from the rooftops. And I know that they're like at different stages in their career, but still the point is like you're trading for a quarterback that's proven that is great. And I just think it would be Browns fever everywhere. And so to think that we are denied that excitement is so frustrating to me personally, because that's like my favorite thing about being a Browns fan. It's just exciting.
I totally agree. But if I could add one thing that I have thought about in those moments of frustration is that, in a way, though, we can't remove the fact that we probably would have only been able to do this if this was the situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, Deshaun Watson isn't getting traded for 3 first-round picks if this happens before these allegations. I think he's almost untradeable because you have to give up so much. So in a way, we're kind of not counting, we're not factoring that in a little bit. That's what I say to make myself feel better.
That's actually probably not false, though. Like, I mean, if he's sitting there, you're probably looking. So what? It was the 3 1s and a 3 and a 2 and a 4. So what? It probably becomes 3 1s and 3 2s.
Yeah. Or even honestly, even more. I mean, let me ask you this: what does Patrick Mahomes get in a trade?
Well, the problem is you can only trade 3 years worth of picks.
Right.
So no, I don't think you can get him.
You can't get him. You cannot get
not
Patrick
without gutting your team.
You'd have to give up 3 firsts, 3 seconds, 3 thirds, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, and Denzel Ward, right?
Yeah.
And now Patrick Mahomes is, Deshaun Watson's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's not that far off. I mean, he's not far off enough where the trade value diminishes significantly. So I think that, you don't get Deshaun Watson for the value the Browns did without the allegations.
Like you're still talking about the dude who led the league in passing the last time he played. And that's something that's so lost in all of this.
Well, an awful team.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But just because there's that giant caveat, I think that it hasn't gone nearly as deep with the Deshaun Watson analysis of okay, what does this dude do on the football field? And I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just analyzing the state of things. I just and so when you start to look at that, I mean, it gets exciting. It really does.
Right. Yeah, if you just look at it from a football perspective, which it sometimes at some point we have to do because we're rooting for a corporation because it's a football team, and at some point we're just going to have to look at it from a football perspective, and when we finally can and do, it will be a much different experience than we're used to.
About this whole in Cleveland thing, it reminds me of 2014 when the to the finals, but Kyrie gets hurt, Kevin Love gets hurt, and once again, so it's like the new toy, and yet we can't roll them out, and hopefully we can get some games this year, but even kind of thing. But I think Jimmy has them in the gang. It's a long-term solution, and Sean Watson get him on the field some games this year. Hopefully make the playoffs, and then next year, it's only a Cleveland thing, but I think for the Browns not having a franchise quarterback is on. I guess this year is in flux, but I guess I would take it knowing long term that you finally got is to the Patrick Mahomes level, and that's something that we have never had in Cleveland, especially with this roster. So take it, and we have no choice but to take it. The future's still exciting and bright.
Yeah, I mean, from a football perspective, I'm doing the trade. I'm doing the trade. Even if he gets suspended for the full year, from a football perspective, I'm doing the trade.
And I think that's what we've said on this show. I think pretty consistently across the board is just that's from the football perspective, which is the only way I know how to quantify this, because I don't know what happened ultimately with any of the situations that he was put in. So that's the only way I know how to quantify it. And when I do it like that, I'm like, oh, well, hey, at least maybe at some point we'll have a quarterback. Maybe when he gets on there. Go ahead.
I just want to say, whenever you can look at a situation and say, this never would have happened unless, right? That's probably a situation that you stand that you want to use.
I know what you because I obviously nobody wants the situations that happened and the allegations
No.
if to have happened, but
Absolutely.
if you are given the opportunity to take advantage of a player being available that wouldn't be available, I think is what you're trying to get at there. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm okay. So Blake, in your expert opinion, is cereal soup?
No, it's not soup. Soup implicitly must be warm. If it's not, well, actually, that's not true. Shit. It's not soup.
Ah!
Soup doesn't have the base of soup cannot be dry carbohydrates. Give me any other soup where the base is a dry carbohydrate.
Fresh potato soup.
That's not dry.
It's not.
The potatoes are silky
Yeah.
and moist, right?
Yeah, they are.
Certainly good potatoes are.
But like, what if I put Skittles in my soup?
What?
Then you're an insane person. You're not eating soup.
Not souping.
It's not soup. Not even close. This is how I know it's not soup. If you were at home and you were saying to your friend or your romantic partner or whoever, like, hey, can you get me some soup? And they brought you cereal, you would lose your mind.
Rightfully so.
This person said rice-based soup. The rice in the soup, though, is not. It has this like moist
It is.
element to it, and that's why you're eating it. Whereas obviously cereal will get moist too. But when you eat cereal, you kind of like that dry crunchiness of the cereal when you're eating it.
You don't want it to get soggy. You don't want it
Exactly.
to absorb all the things. All right, Blake, we really appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing some knowledge. Do you want to drop your Twitter handle for everybody if they want to follow you?
Yeah, it's at Blake Weiner Law. I think that's what it is. It's Weiner is spelled Weiner.
Yeah, that is. I got it up. Yep. All right, Blake, we really, really appreciate it, man.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Blake.
thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Had fun.
Thanks,
Have a good
Blake.
night.
Bye.
Yeah, that was great. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there at the beginning with his audio, but once we got his audio going, it was really, really great. I apologize to everybody that is live with us that I haven't really been keeping up with the comments. I don't know about the other two of you. I just really enjoyed that conversation and getting the opportunity to really ask those questions in a format in which he was just super cool, he was honest about it. You know, he didn't come on here and say things that he thought people wanted to hear. He was honest about it. And I think he is on the higher end of some of the people that I have heard at this stage in the game. And that is very interesting. I have no idea what's going to play. When someone comes on here and tells you the honest to God truth and then tells you something, you don't want to hear that high number that he gave you. You don't want to hear it. But knowing that he gave me that number tells me that everything he told me tonight was genuine. And I really appreciate that at the stage that we are at. All right, gentlemen, we've got a couple of things we can do here as we start to round out the episode. So my question is, and the people listening live can vote if they want over in the comments and tell us. We can talk about some training camp stuff, or we can jump right on in to Stump Ed trivia. So if you have a view, either tell me that you want the Stump Ed trivia, you can just say trivia, or if you want to hear something about camp and then the Stump Ed trivia, throw them in there. I got 3 questions when we get to Stump Ed trivia. I'll give everybody an opportunity that is listening live to vote, throw some stuff in there. I will tell you some more about our wonderful sponsors and our friends over at Built Bar. So check it out, guys. I just ordered raspberry lemonade Built Bars. I am super jacked up about raspberry lemonade Built Bars. They are on the way. I will give you my review. They are all saying Stump Ed trivia, so that's where we're going after this ad read. But I ordered my raspberry lemonade, gentlemen, on Sunday. And do you know what Built Bar did to me on Monday?
What's that?
They dropped orange dreamsicle puffs.
Oh, baby.
Orange dreamsicle puffs. That is marshmallow encased in chocolate. Orange dreamsicle chocolate encased around marshmallow. Healthy, packed with protein, 150 calories, 6 grams of sugar, 15 grams of protein. Absolute dessert, healthy dessert. So you're looking at healthy dessert. I love it. I'm going to get some Built Bars. Right now, they have 10% store-wide. If you use our promo code BARKING, you will get 10% on top of the 10%. So go over to Built Bar, place an order, use our promo code BARKING, get 20% off
20.
Built Bar, the best protein bars on the market. It's time for Stump Ed Trivia. Go ahead, Nick. I know you had something.
You know what? In follow-up to what, I'm sorry, Ed, I just want to say, Jacob, you've got a great shirt on from the great people at Zabo Apparel. They are wonderful partners with our Patreon. Every month we give away a Zabo shirt, a shirt from Zabo. You go to the website, you take any shirt you want, and you get it. It's shipped to your door, free to you. It's just it's a part of our Patreon perks that we offer. We also have a group chat. We have a lot of things that we have people that have been with us for a really long time. It's a great group of people. We very
Ed
much
started there. Now he's on the show.
And now he's on the show, right? So
one of my best friends too, mind you.
Yeah, and so we did just have a rebrand of our logo, and so what we're gonna do,
I can put that
because we have merch, we have fun merch, and we saw Jeff bought the coffee mug today. Shout out to Jeff. Yeah, there it is. And so we are going to do some giveaways to our Patreon members with our merch as well. So not only are you going to be entered in one shirt, but how about 2 shirts, right? All for $5. Well, just $5. Look at that. There it is.
All right.
I was just going to say, Nick, that everything that you just said, so you must be reading my mind.
Sorry. MC Lawrence is messing with John over in the comments. No, to answer your question, he said he lost his connection. Blake said he doesn't see it being less than 10. Was that correct? He said 10, right? Was it 10 or 12?
Yeah, that's
yeah. He said he said he probably thinks 12, not less than 10. That was right where he thought it would be. Let me see. Jeff asked me Built Bar. So the website is BUILT.com. The promo code is BARKING, BARKING. I'm going to order some orange dreamsicle when I get my paycheck on Friday. All right, guys, it is time for Stump Ed Trivia. If Ed loses when we team up in training camp on July 30th, he will have to shotgun beers equal to the amount of questions he gets wrong in the next 3 episodes.
3
episodes. And it's going to be in our hotel room. It's going. Okay. I won't make you do it. We'll do it in the hotel room after we're out.
Spoiler: Ed is going to be sloshed.
Give me one.
I think Ed gets 2 of these for sure. I think he gets 2 of them correct for sure. I think so. They are multiple choice, Ed. Okay, multiple choice. All right, question number 1. In 2005, the Cleveland Browns traded for running back Reuben Drones to head their rushing attack. Where did they acquire him from? Was that the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, or the Buffalo Bills?
C. Denver Broncos, final answer.
That is correct. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Number 2. Now, I say this first part as a disclaimer, all right? Not as an alternate. Remember that.
Okay.
Which pair
got this one right.
He did get this right. Nick got this right pregame. Not as an alternate, which pair of Cleveland Browns made the Pro Bowl in 2007? Was it Braylon Edwards and Derek Anderson? Was it Kellen Winslow and Braylon Edwards? Was it Kellen Winslow and Jamal Lewis? Or was it Braylon Edwards and Josh Cribbs?
Okay, so the question, and I know Derek Anderson was an alternate. So what is the actual, when you said what was your first to that again?
So I'm asking you which pair made it not as an alternate.
Okay, that is a wrong, and so it's not then. So what are the other 3 choices then?
Okay, so the other 2 choices were Kellen Winslow and Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow and Jamal Lewis, or Braylon Edwards and Josh Cribbs.
Okay. So it's either it's Edwards and Josh Cribbs or Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow. I know that. So that's Braylon Edwards and
2007. I'm sorry. Did you answer?
Yeah, Josh Cribbs and Braylon Edwards.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct.
Yeah.
I actually thought when I was reading it, when I was writing it down and reading it, I actually thought it was Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow because they both had 1,000-yard seasons.
I think that would have been yeah.
And so that's why when I put that answer in there, I was like, oh, I got him.
I knew Josh Cribbs made it one. I just didn't know what exactly.
He had an amazing year that year. That was one of his better years. Everything came together for that team except for the playoffs.
I'll never forget.
Good.
I'm sorry. I'll never forget the fans rallying to get Josh Cribbs paid. I mean, he deserved it and earned it. It just he was so exciting. It was.
He made me love Cleveland Browns football. I will always owe that to Josh Cribbs.
I don't know if we'll ever see special teams like that again. It's just always such a.
The NFL is so different now. They don't think they end up with the hitting, and they don't.
Yeah, but Jakeem Grant, man, I'm really excited to see what Jakeem Grant can do this year. All right, which Cleveland Brown was electrocuted in a construction accident? Don Fleming, Bernie Parrish, Ernie Davis, or Ozzie Newsome? I don't know when they were. Do you want me? I can look it up.
No, I got a question. I guess. Okay. Parrish because of this, did they?
What is it?
Right, but they that didn't ultimately end their career. In
I don't think it ended their career.
Like when it comes.
Okay. So this person was operating a crane on a construction site in Orlando, Florida, and was when the boom of the crane brushed an overhead 12,000 volt high tension electrical transmission line. He
Jeez.
He died. He died from that electrocution.
Wow.
That was 1963.
Ernie Davis.
It was Don Fleming.
Oh. Well, I knew Davis had. I think whatever was cut or career was cut short, but I wasn't.
Ernie Davis, he had leukemia, right?
I would have got two wrong. So you're doing way better than me. And
well, I got one. I'm shotgunning one. The way
one. We are at one. One beer.
Asking here.
Guys, let's talk a little bit about the Underdog partnership, and what's going on. And as we announce this, so guys, we are super excited. So when you go and download Underdog, it'll ask you, how did you hear about us? Type in 216 when you make your account. And then when you go to make your deposit, as long as your deposit is $10, between $10 and $100, they will match it up to 100%. Put $12 in there, they'll give you another $12. And you can play all kinds of events. There's going to be all kinds of leagues and events going on here on Network 216. If you're listening to the YouTube or the audio version, understand what I'm about to tell you. You will still get your opportunity to get in on the piece of the action of what I'm about to announce, because the first 4 people will be selected on a first come, first served basis, which will likely mean the people that are listening live right now will take up those spots. So if you go to Underdog Sports and you sign up with Network 216, you sign up, make your account, type 216, you make a deposit. The first 4 people to make a deposit after signing up with Network 216, and they may ask you for the promo code when you go to do the deposit too. I'm not sure. So if they ask you at any point about a promo code, put 216 or how you heard about us. And, well, I already know who's going to probably get spot 1 because he just told me in the snap. You show me that you've done it, or tell me that you've done it, and I can check. I think Zach can check for us.
You can tweet at Network 216 because that would be super helpful too.
Well, I'm going to have him send it to me in a DM, this part.
Okay.
Listen, we are going to do a 10-team league. All right. One of those teams is going to be the three of us together. So 9 listeners of this show and people on Twitter will come head to head at the three of us and try to school us in a year-long fantasy league. Keep in mind, no trades, no waivers, no nothing. We will vote. We will do our draft. Once we do our draft, we will put the leagues out there. The highest scorer each week will come onto the podcast at the end of the show and talk some shit. So if you guys are the top scorer, you'll come on here, you'll talk some shit, we'll have some good times, and we'll roll from there. All right. So we're going to do a 10-team league. This is going to be a pay league, a $10 entry, your opportunity to come win some of our money. So first place in these leagues gets $60. Third place will get their money back. And I think second place gets either 20 or 30.
Okay.
So
That's
you get the opportunity to school us, win some of our cash. So you make that
make up the difference, Jacob. If they finish in third, you finish in the top 3, you're going to get it paid for. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have to lose anything. So I'll happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really generous of you, Ed.
So the first 4 people to send a DM to me showing that they have used the promo code and made a deposit, or send an email to thebarkingbrownshow@gmail.com showing me that you have signed up with our promo code. The first 4 people will be entered in the league. We will announce how the other 5 are going to be decided. 2 of them will come exclusively from YouTube. So if you're rewatching this later on YouTube, you will have your opportunity. And the other 3 will be a Twitter giveaway later on going on. We will decide, the 3 of us will decide how that's going to go.
And as a little fun add-on to you, if you are in our league and you are also on Twitter, we will create a little league group chat so we can have a little.
Oh yes, yeah, I meant to say that.
All kinds of fun stuff. It's a great time, and trust me, fantasy. Jacob, brief story, and you can laugh at me. You can laugh at me all you want. Jacob and I were sitting in basically this very spot about a year ago. After week 1 of the NFL season. Sorry. I had Jonathan Taylor in my big league, the most important league to me. I drafted Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon. It was going to be a great year. And after week 1,
you had both of. I forgot that you. Oh, you idiot!
I did, and I had a really bad wide receiver position. So I panicked. I traded Jonathan Taylor away for way less than I could have gotten. And Jacob, right before we went live, Jacob was like, take some time and think about it. Don't rush into anything. So before Jacob and I go live, I hit accept trade.
He rushes right into it.
Trade away all fantasy glory. And so my point is, Jacob obviously knows what he's talking about. And B, you can't make that mistake because we're not trading. It's going to be great. You just draft your team. So if you know your stuff going in, it's going to be a great year. And you never know. You can hit on anybody. And you won't have to live with the pain of, I dropped that person, or I traded them away. I can't tell you my biggest regrets. So many trades, so many bad trades, so many.
If you send me that you have used our promo code and you send me and show me that to enter into the league, and you're not of the first 4, you will still have a chance. So still send me that.
Yes.
And you will have a chance. You will have an extra entry into the Twitter giveaway to get those 3 spots. There's going to be weekly contests to go up against us individually, weekly contests to go up against our show, go up against the network, go up against the boys at the Faithful Dogs, the boys at the Yard Dogs, our good boy Petty Eddie McDonald, who is rocking out on vacation down in Georgia, and
Grant
is going to be on there, and
Mac the
Buffalo. And Mac the Buffalo is part of the network.
Welcome to 216, Mac. Welcome to
216, Mac.
I got a funny story for you guys. So I have accepted, everybody may know this on Twitter, I accepted a position from the parent website of Dog Pound Daily, and I'm an NFL contributor now for the main fan-sided website. This very big, intimidating website. When I got put in the group chat with all of them, I was like, oh my God. I am writing a positive article about Ben Roethlisberger tonight, and I'm having. This is what I thought. Listen, hear me out. This is what I thought. I thought, what better way to show I can be impartial and very professional by showing that I will be honest about what kind of football player he is than doing it about Ben Roethlisberger, right?
He's a great football. He was great.
Yeah.
He's great.
And it's a very niche article. It's not just a general article. It's about his last couple years in the league. It'll be out probably Thursday or Friday. I don't know. But I'm actually kind of excited. Like, it's kind of going to be hard for me to write, but I'm excited for the opportunity to really show people like, oh, he's not just a Browns homer. Like, he's an NFL guy. I think it's a really cool opportunity. I'm really excited about it. So DM me at Roachism13, email at thebarkingbrownshow@gmail.com, showing me that you used our 216 code. And the first 4 that I get will automatically be in the league. All that details will come out. If you're on Twitter, we will do most of our communication via Twitter. If you're not, do not stress that. We will take care of it. I will put out a separate YouTube. Well, we probably all three will. We'll put out an actual YouTube video with how to enter for the YouTube spots. So that stuff is coming up. Okay, guys, I got just one quick question for you guys, because we are coming up on training camp in 17 days. We will be together in training camp. Training camp will start in 14 days, but we will all be together at training camp in 17 days. What position group right now, going into that day on July 30th, what position group and this will wrap up the show, what position group are you watching? What do you like? I'm so, like, for me, last year was my first training camp, and Nick was there. He can attest to this. I was very intrigued by the defensive line. That was where most of my stuff was the defensive line. So the two of you, Nick, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Ed. What position right now has your eyes when we step foot in Berea in a couple weeks?
I think the wide receivers interest me the most, because there's such a weird, like, what is the pecking order in that room? Like, obviously Amari Cooper's at the top, but beyond that, it's like, I mean, we've seen some nice things from Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I think he's more firmly 2 than people want to say, but no, I don't know. I don't know where it is after that.
You know, David Bell, we saw on Building the Browns that's Kevin Stefanski's pick right there, and everybody has an opinion on Anthony Schwartz. I mean, that guy, and then I'm just saying, you know, everybody does.
They do. I laughed not because I'm not I like Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah,
it's just I have had some very choice words thrown at me for my support of Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah, and then we've got Jacobs, who I'm sure every time he does something, I could see the Jacob tweets now. But Mr. Isaiah Weston over there, that's going to be. I mean,
Isaiah Weston.
Yeah,
Mike Harley too, man. Mike Harley is. Yeah. I think Mike Harley's going to make this roster. Probably. So, I don't know, but he'll make the practice squad at least.
Which does bring up we're going to do a 3-person training camp final roster prediction this time.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So on the eve of training camp, the night before training camp, on the 23rd, because we will be back on Tuesdays next week, I believe. We'll see what happens with our schedules. We'll be back on Tuesdays at 8. The day before training camp kicks off, we will, all 3 of us, make our 53-man roster predictions. If you guys are interested in deciding and having a say on what the loser's punishment will be, let us know.
Yeah, please do. Brainstorm. And Ed, I'm sorry, I was totally rude. I didn't mean to cut you off. What is your favorite? What was your most interesting position?
Well,
he's mad because you stole.
Yeah, you stole my position groups. So
I'm sorry.
I wasn't. But here's the thing. I think the thing you said, David Bell to me is the one from that wide receiver, because I think he's going to have a great rookie year. Browns go as David Bell goes when it comes to solidifying the wide receivers. But here's a position group that I thought of line. That's the easy one to pick from. But I don't really. It doesn't intrigue me. I like getting sacks is sexy, and that's fine. But I'll tell you what, it's the running backs. And you're going to say, why would you pick the running back? Here's why. Because I got a guy named Jerome Ford, and I really want to see what this cat can do because going to be an integral part of the Cleveland Browns and what they do. And then obviously you got Demetric Felton. What's Demetric going to do? I don't even say he's a running back. I don't know what they really
That's actually
say.
fair.
But
the very back end of that room is very up to grabs.
Yeah, and that's maybe Dearness Johnson. Who knows? I mean, they signed him or whatever like that. I don't know. Trade. Who knows? Yeah. There's a lot that can happen if a team with injuries and things like that. So the back end of the running back position, and Nick, I love me some sexy. I love me, and the Cleveland Browns are sexy, and this year's going to be a great.
It wasn't James Cook like Ed and I originally predicted, but it was a running back that was taken by the Browns that we were like, it kind of seems like the Browns are in position where Andrew Berry would take a running back, and sure enough.
And what did I tell you about James Cook? And it ends up applying about Jerome Ford. They were going to draft a running back, and it was going to be a Kareem Hunt replacement, and that's what Jerome Ford is.
Yep.
He's underrated. I love Mitch's Landry down under name. Mine is what did I do in our? So we are doing a 10-person full on for all the members of Network 216, a year-long fantasy. Which, by the way, the plan is that draft will be live here on Twitch, and there will be weekly shows on Twitch about our fantasy league, where we talk about what we're doing in turn as advice for what we think you should do in your fantasy league. And I think that Ed will get last place. I'm just kidding. Ed will beat me.
You know what? The only thing I love more than fantasy football is the Cleveland Browns themselves. If it gives you any idea of how passionate I am about this. So you've come to the right place if you want to play fantasy football.
And my name is Full Chub.
Jacob, Nick's my favorite. That's the name of my team.
Hey, there it is.
All right. MC Lawrence, Big Ben was an Ohio boy, never really hated him like everyone else, except when he played us. Yeah, I respected him. This was a question Mitch asked early. Is Johnny Stanton better at football or D&D? I've only seen him play D&D a couple of times, and he was phenomenal. So he might be better at – he's a freak athlete. Did you realize he was like a college quarterback, and then he came into the NFL as a tight end and a linebacker? Yeah. That's Johnny Stanton was a quarterback at Nebraska. He's hella athletic.
Jacob, I got something about Big Ben for you. The Peak Grove City High School, home of the Greyhounds. Dog says they got at the helmet because defense always wins games. And the 1999 AP State champion Grove City Greyhounds. But they ended high school career when he was at Findlay. And I wish the Cleveland Browns could have been more, but the Grove City Greyhounds. Certainly.
We really wanted to send him out with the middle finger, and that just didn't work. For me, it's the defensive tackle room because, please, God, somebody show me something.
Perry on Winfrey.
Perry on will be good. I just don't know if it's immediate. Listen, I wrote an article about the people that are going to fight for the tight end 3 role. Really watch Johnny Stanton, man. As the third blocking tight end who ran some routes last year, he can line up as the H-back. They're not going to keep him as a fullback. If they keep him, it's going to be a hybrid blocking role. He can run routes and catch, but they're not going to roster a typical fullback, not with the evolution of this offense. We're seeing a bunch more pistol in mini camps and mandatory camp and all the stuff that's gone on prior to training camp. I'm telling you what, there's people out there firing fireworks. It is goddamn the 13th. Oh my goodness. It is the freaking 13th. And there's people out there just
don't
fucking
tell my neighborhood. All of July is America's birthday to them. It drives me absolutely crazy. But yeah, well, guys, I wrote an article and I put Johnny Stanton as one of the candidates. I think he's got a really good shot to make this hybrid situation. I mean, Andrew Berry loves the versatility of players like that. And I think you could see a situation where that is what happens. By the way, hey, Ed, do you watch Stranger Things? I do not. Evan, I feel like I've never watched it, so I'm going to start binge watching it because I feel like I've been left.
Okay, so we started watching Stranger Things I feel like it was like a month ago or something, but we're now in the new season 4. We only seen one episode. Let me tell you, that show That show gets better and better. And then you're like, man, that show was really great. And season 3 was like emotional. You're like, oh my God, this is so much great. And then we watched the first episode of like the end of season 3 was like an hour and a half episode. And then like we get into the beginning of season 4 and it was like an hour and 20 minutes. And oh my God, it was like a different show. It was that much better. Like Stranger Things 3 was here and 4 was all the way up here just from the first episode. And I loved the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things. But D&D, there's a lot of D&D in.
It reminds me about the Barking Brown show. I think the show got better.
It did. It just got better. We have already, ladies and gentlemen, before we sign off, there's already a member of our fantasy football league, our 10
Pick up who we got.
person. We got Jeff, our boy Jeff.
We got Jeff.
Our boy, that will be a full season. So that's going to be a 10-person full season league. It's a $10 buy-in. I'll get it set up once we got everybody, and I will send links to everybody so we can get everybody in on that. So any closing remarks from you gentlemen? Ed, Nick, do you watch Stranger Things?
I haven't yet. No. I've actually never watched an episode.
You guys suck. You need to watch Stranger Things. We got to talk about it next week.
All right. I'm you know what? I'm in the middle of Disenchantment right now. I really like that show.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I don't know why. I've just
listen.
Really
all of a sudden, they put over 100 more episodes of Naruto Shippuden dub on Hulu. It's dubbed up to like 2 or 350 or something like that. So I'm like cruising through some of that. Nobody wants to hear us talk about what we're talking about right now. So guys, do we have closing remarks?
Catch me on the dog chug in about 21 minutes.
Oh, we do have to get off here.
Oh yeah, we do. We got.
All right. So that Ed can go make that meeting. Yeah. Next week will be the training camp preview episode, Mr. Carnes.
Yeah. Look for those giveaways that we mentioned next week. So if you're thinking about signing up for Patreon, it's a great time to. This has been episode 64. 4, and ironically, 4 spots of the Barking Browns show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. That's Ed. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.